Tonight, Hurricane Milton made landfall in Florida, but unfortunately, this violent storm continues. We have a new update just in from the National Hurricane Center. We'll talk about where this storm goes next.
A feature of the hurricanes as they come ashore down there in Florida. It stirs them up, and just one more concern, one more worry for the people in Florida tonight as Milton makes landfall.
Yeah, and they were touching down pretty early in the afternoon, Rachel.
And these weren't weak tornadoes either. There were some really powerful, very strong tornadoes that we were actually able to confirm just by looking at the radar because they contained debris. So yes, that was just adding insult to injury and what's already been a terrible day in Florida. The eye making landfall around 8:30 in Siesta Key. The storm is looking a little bit asymmetrical now that it has made landfall. You'll see the heaviest rain on the northern side of the eye. However, it's the storm surge south of the eye that is the worst. So Tampa and Tampa Bay will end up seeing kind of reverse storm surge with water being pushed out of Tampa Bay. But just to the south, as you head towards Sarasota, down through Fort Myers, all of that wind is pushing all of the Gulf of Mexico up into land and causing some really nasty storm surge. As the evening goes on, the storm moving east-northeast over the Florida peninsula, crossing over Orlando as a hurricane and still a hurricane even as it emerges into the Atlantic Ocean, and it will continue to weaken as it heads towards Bermuda. We are not anticipating any impact here close to home. I had to back up these observations to about 15 minutes or so ago, so this is from 9:45, because most of our other observations have already lost power and I can't receive any more data from them. And this Sarasota one lost power shortly after 9:45. So 102 mile-an-hour gusts actually being reported by sensors there. It is no wonder that power has gone out since then. We're still talking about major flooding caused by all of this heavy rain, wind damage right around the center of the eye, but even expanding from that with a very large wind field containing tropical storm force winds. And again, this storm will continue to move out into the Atlantic. No threat to us here in the state. Lows tonight in the 40s. Tomorrow is the coolest day of the week. Highs in the 50s, lots of sunshine, and it's awfully chilly heading into tomorrow night. Your full forecast coming.
Frank.
Hurricane Milton made landfall earlier this evening, still with winds of 110 miles an hour, and I just saw an observation to confirm those wind speeds and higher gusts up to 150 miles per hour are possible. So here's the latest track in from the National Hurricane Center. The storm moving east-northeast over Orlando near Daytona Beach and over Cape Canaveral, heading through the evening tonight, noticing that the heaviest rain is on the northern side of the storm. So this is where flash flooding is going to be a major issue as we head through the overnight hours. Even though the storm has been downgraded to a Category 2, that heavy rain is not going anywhere. And that's what we saw during Helene in the Carolinas. And now we have that heavy rain across Florida. And all of these communities, Orlando, Melbourne, Sarasota, down through Fort Myers, are all still under hurricane warning. So these peak storm surge numbers have been adjusted a little bit, especially for the Tampa Bay area. Because the storm ended up making landfall just to the south of Tampa, the winds are actually blowing away from Tampa Bay. But on the other side of the eye, they're coming right into Sarasota. The winds is coming right into Fort Myers, and these are the areas where there could be up to 12 feet of storm surge, and we're already starting to see those water levels rise, and that will continue as we head through the night tonight. Look at how big the wind field is from this storm, covering the entire state of Florida with tropical storm force winds. This is the hurricane force gusts. Noticing those start to shrink and get a bit smaller as the night wears on, but still making it to Orlando and still making it to the Space Coast before it ends up exiting into the Atlantic. It is pretty rare for the National Weather Service to issue this high risk for flash flooding. Now, 46% of the time they issue this, there is at least one death related to flooding. So it's pretty serious. We're talking about, again, through Tampa, Orlando, and Daytona Beach. And again, this will be ongoing heading through the evening tonight. We're going to keep checking in. And of course, through the day tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of cleaning up to do. For us here at home, we are talking about a quiet stretch of weather. Plenty of sunshine, a morning chill. Tomorrow's the coolest day of the week. Highs will only be in the 50s. The coolest morning will be Friday morning. There is a chance for some isolated patchy frost. Again, I think it's the exception rather than the rule, but it is possible to dry up. It's from a cold front coming through, and that front is going to drop the temperatures heading into the day tomorrow. Highs 55 to right around 60 degrees. It's also a bit breezy. Winds out of the northwest at 5 to 15 miles an hour. A very powerful solar storm happened today. What that's doing is sending all of these charged particles towards the Earth's atmosphere, and that may mean that we have a shot at seeing the northern lights here in Connecticut tomorrow night. Conditions would be good. Sometimes these forecasts can be fickle, but I'm saying there's a chance. It is going to be a chilly night, though. Overnight lows will be in the upper 30s to low 40s. And as I mentioned before, there is a chance for some patchy frost, so we'll be looking at that really closely. For most of us, though, the growing season continues. Saturday, lots of sun, highs around 70, but we're already cooler by Sunday. Showers developing in the afternoon, continuing into Sunday night and Monday morning. And look at those temps for next week. 50s will be the norm, guys.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Well, Connecticut's 5th District congressional seat is a hotly contested race this year, and the candidates, incumbent Jahana Hayes and Republican challenger George Logan, are debating tonight ahead of the election. Yeah, we've been talking about this for days. Huge storm, lots of danger here. I guess if anything helps maybe a little bit, it's that the storm does seem to be rapidly losing strength as it's made landfall here.
Yeah, it seems. Rachel, is it safe to say that the worst of it's over?
It just depends on what you're looking at. So we're talking about the worst of the winds being over, but the rain is still going to remain, and it will be very heavy as we head through the overnight hours. And I also think that storm surge has not reached its peak yet either. So we still have other threats on the table. And I also still think that this is going to be a hurricane as it crosses over Florida, over Orlando and Daytona Beach, right across the peninsula. So we are still talking about damage. We're still talking about flooding rain. And south of Tampa through about Fort Myers, we're talking about that onshore wind that is consistently bringing the Gulf of Mexico on land, which is no good. You can see the eye here, which has started to take in a little bit of dry air, so it's not as clearly defined as it was. Just another sign that the storm is weakening. We'll take what we can get. Here locally, there is a chance for an isolated shower tonight. Otherwise, it's a cool night ahead with overnight lows in the 40s. High temperatures tomorrow will be the coolest of the week, climbing between 55 to right around 60 degrees as we head through the afternoon. Lots of sunshine from start to finish. The coldest morning of the week will be Friday morning, and it could be some of the coldest temperatures that we've seen so far this season, with overnight lows near 40 for Hartford, but 30s for some of our cooler spots in outlying areas, and there is a chance for some isolated patchy frost. Then we see temperatures rebound heading into Saturday, but that warm up does not last. It looks like temperatures will cool right back down again Sunday into next week. We'll take another look coming up. It has felt like fall all week, but the chill is going to settle in even more tomorrow and especially Friday morning. We'll talk about it. Full forecast coming up.
Frank.
Since Hurricane Milton made landfall, pretty much all of the observation sites have lost power or they've been damaged, caused by the winds. This was the last one that I was able to get out of Sarasota, with gusts up to 102 miles an hour. We're not seeing any gusts being reported in Tampa, being reported in Fort Myers. Again, power is out for all of these locations, and that just kind of gives you an idea of what's in store for the days ahead for these poor folks in Florida that have to deal with likely weeks on end without power. Heading through the overnight hours, the storm will continue to move to the east, northeast, getting caught up in Orlando. On the backside of this system, we're looking at gusts that are still up 70 plus miles an hour, and the storm is still a hurricane or weakening into a tropical storm as it exits off the Florida coast and goes back into the Atlantic Ocean, heading into early on Thursday morning. Then heading through the day on Thursday, it's all about cleaning up the damage. But heavy rain, a major issue through the remainder of the overnight hours, especially for areas around Tampa on north, and that's where we're seeing the heaviest rain set up. It's really north of the eye wall. And just an update in case you're just joining us, this is the updated peak storm surge numbers, which are the highest from Sarasota through about Fort Myers, up to 12 feet of storm surge. The numbers have been lowered slightly for Tampa Bay because the storm right now is just to the south, so the wind is actually blowing in the opposite direction at the moment. Taking a look at our weather here at home. Cold front comes through tonight. That brings us the chance for a spot shower. And then it's the coolest day of the week tomorrow. We're looking at high temperatures that will be in the mid-50s to right around 60 degrees. Not that it's unusual this time of year, but just maybe a shock to the system. And the coldest temperatures will be Thursday night into Friday morning, when we could even see some 30s on the map, and there is a chance for some patchy frost in some of our coldest locations. Heading into Saturday, we get this brief warm up, highs in the 70s. Then another cold front comes through, and that'll bring us a cooler Sunday and beyond, because it looks like that chill is going to take us right through most of next week. Low temperatures tonight falling back into the 40s. Heading through the day tomorrow, cool sunshine. It's one of those days where we got sun and it's just ineffective at helping to warm up the air. 58 in Hartford, 60 for a high temperature in Meriden and Chester, and 55 in Torrington. And I wanted to show you these low temperatures heading into Thursday night and Friday morning. 35 in Windham. It is possible that they issue a frost advisory for parts of Connecticut. We'll see what they decide to do, especially if you have a green thumb and you want to hold on to those plants a little while longer. We'll make sure to pass that information on to you, but it is certainly possible. And then Friday is the beginning of that rebound with highs in the 60s. If you're just joining us, I also mentioned during the last half an hour that there is a chance that we could see an aurora borealis here in Connecticut heading into tomorrow night. So we'll keep you posted on that. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Sunday afternoon, showers develop. Those will take